When did you stop talking to your body? Or more honestly, when did you stop listening to what it was saying back? Think about the last time your body sent you a signal. A sharp pain woke you at 3 a.m. A wave of exhaustion so deep that no amount of sleep could touch it. A knot in your stomach before a difficult conversation you kept putting off. What did you do with that signal? Did you sit with it? Did you ask what it meant? Or did you reach for something to make it stop? A pill, a distraction, a quiet resignation that whispered, "This is just how it is now. This is just what getting older feels like." Your body is not betraying you. It is not falling apart. It is not punishing you for the years gone by. It is communicating in every ache, every sleepless night, every morning you wake up already tired before the day has even begun. These are not failures. They are messages, written in a language most of us were never taught to read. And the moment you learn to read it, not fight it, not suppress it, not medicate it into silence, everything changes. A gardener doesn't shout at flowers to bloom, doesn't demand the soil to be something different from what it is. The gardener listens, watches, feels, tends, and responds with exactly what the garden needs, exactly when it needs it. That is the only way anything in this world truly grows. And that is exactly what you are about to learn. For the body that has been carrying you, quietly and faithfully, through every single day of your life. Today, I want to share 3 things that could change not just how you feel, but how you relate to your own body for the rest of your life. While your body was never broken, it has been speaking to you in a language you were simply never taught. 4 specific ways to begin a real conversation with your body, drawn from Zen Buddhist wisdom and modern neuroscience. And why the way you talk to your body matters more than any supplement, any diet, or any medication you will ever take. Before we go any further, place one hand on your chest right now. Feel your heart beating beneath your palm. That heart has beaten for you, faithfully, without a single day off, for every year of your life, through every loss, through every sleepless night, through every moment you forgot it was even there. It never complained. It never threatened to stop. It just kept going, for you, quietly, loyally, without condition. When was the last time you said thank you? Most of us have spent decades talking at our bodies, demanding from them, criticizing them, pushing them past every limit, and then wondering why they stopped cooperating. We were never taught to listen. We were taught to manage, to fix, to suppress. And that silence, that long accumulated silence between you and the body that has carried you through everything, has had consequences far deeper than most people realize. That is where we begin. 1. The war you've been fighting with your own body. How do you speak to your body when it's in pain? Do you say, "Thank you for the signal, I'm listening"? Or do you say, "Not now, stop this, why are you doing this to me"? Because that difference between those 2 responses might be the most important health decision you make today. We were taught that good health means controlling the body, control your weight, control your blood pressure, control your pain, push through, override, dominate. But here's what that teaching never told you, and what Buddhism has understood for 2,500 years. When you treat your body like an enemy to be defeated, your body responds exactly like one. And when you treat it like a friend who deserves to be heard, something shifts, something that no prescription has ever been able to manufacture. The Buddha taught what he called the second arrow. All of the first arrow is physical pain. And yes, it hurts. But the second arrow is what you do with that pain. The resistance, the anger. The "why is this happening to me" that loops at 2 a.m. when you cannot sleep. The first arrow is unavoidable. But the second arrow, the one that turns pain into prolonged suffering, that one is always a choice. Always. And science now has a name for what happens when we keep firing that second arrow at ourselves. It is called psychoneuroimmunology, the study of how thoughts and emotions directly alter immune function. People who speak to their bodies with chronic self-criticism, "Why won't you work right? Why are you falling apart?" show measurably higher cortisol, higher inflammatory markers, and significantly slower recovery. This is not poetry. This is not philosophy. The language you use with your body is chemistry. And here is the layer that no one talks about, especially for those of you who have passed 60. The war with your body is often not really about pain. It is about grief. The grief of remembering what your body used to do easily. I used to walk 5 miles without thinking about it. I used to wake up without everything hurting. I used to recognize myself in the mirror. That is not a weakness. That is loss. Real, legitimate, unprocessed loss. And your body hears every word of it. A student once came to a Zen master and said, "Master, my body is betraying me. I am in pain everywhere, and I hate it." The master was quiet for a long moment. Then he asked, "If your closest friend had endured everything you have endured, and was still here, still trying, still showing up for you every single day, would you hate them?" The student had no answer. The master said quietly, "That is your body." I spent years speaking to my own body the way an angry employer speaks to a failing employee, never once asking, "What do you need?" but always demanding, "Why aren't you performing?" And the truth I had to face was devastating in its simplicity. No one heals under that kind of pressure. Not a person, not a relationship, not a body. So let me offer you a reframe that I want you to carry with you from this moment forward. The old sentence is, "My body is failing me." The new sentence is, "My body is sending me a message I haven't learned to read yet." That shift, small as it sounds, is the difference between a closed door and an open one. You cannot grow a garden by yelling at it. Well, you cannot heal a body by fighting it. The garden does not respond to demands. It responds to attention, to care, to the patient's presence of someone who is genuinely, quietly listening. And so does your body. Now, I am not saying you need to have long philosophical conversations with your knees every morning. But if your knees have been trying to tell you something for the past 5 years and you have been ignoring them, maybe it is time to at least say hello. Most people will spend the rest of their lives in this war, fighting symptoms, suppressing signals, demanding performance from a body they have never once truly listened to. They will never know what their body might have said if only it had been asked. But you are asking now, and that already makes this moment different from every moment before it. Tonight, try this one thing. Instead of asking, "What is wrong with my body?" ask instead, "What is my body trying to tell me?" Don't rush the answer. Don't force it. Just ask and then be still. Because your body has been waiting for that question for a very long time. So if fighting the body is the problem, then listening is where healing begins. But here is what most people get wrong about listening. They think it means waiting for pain to speak. It doesn't. Your body has been speaking to you in 100 quiet ways every single day. Ways that have nothing to do with pain and everything to do with wisdom. The question is whether you know how to hear them. That is exactly where we go next. 2. Learning the language your body speaks. Your body speaks 4 languages. Most people only know one. And the 3 they're missing, those are the ones that contain everything important. The first language, sensation. In Zen Buddhism, body scanning is not a relaxation technique. It is an act of active listening. Every sensation your body produces is a word in a story it has been trying to tell you. And tension in your neck is not just tension. It is the weight of something you have not yet put down. The heaviness in your chest is not just fatigue. It is an emotion that has never been given a voice. The knot in your stomach before a certain phone call is not digestion. It is your body whispering, something here is not right, before your mind has dared to admit it. Which science calls this capacity interoception, the ability to sense and interpret signals from inside the body. Research shows that people with higher interoceptive awareness make better decisions, recover from illness faster, and carry measurably lower levels of chronic stress. The body has always been the wisest voice in the room. Most of us have simply spent a lifetime talking over it. Every morning before you get out of bed, try this. Take 60 seconds. Scan slowly from the top of your head to the soles of your feet. Do not judge what you find. Do not try to fix it. Just ask, quietly and honestly, what are you feeling today? I am here. I am listening. Pain is not punishment. It is punctuation that'll pause in your body's story, asking you to read more carefully. The second language, energy. Buddhism teaches about prana, the life force that flows through the body. When it flows freely, the body thrives. When it is blocked by unspoken emotions, by chronic stress, by relationships that drain without replenishing, illness begins to take root. This is not mysticism. This is a description of what happens to your nervous system, your hormones, and your immune function when the things you feel are never allowed to move. Pay attention to your energy, not just physically but emotionally. Notice who you feel depleted after spending time with. Notice what activities make you suddenly, unexpectedly alive. Your body is not being random, it is being precise. I once worked with a woman named Margaret, 69 years old, who came to me exhausted. Because she slept 8 hours and woke up tired. She ate well, she walked daily. Nothing helped. Over several conversations, a pattern emerged. She was consistently drained after visits with her daughter-in-law. Not because her daughter-in-law was unkind, but because Margaret had spent years suppressing everything she truly felt during those visits. Swallowing words, shrinking herself, performing contentment she did not feel. When she finally learned to acknowledge what her body had been signaling all along, something shifted. The exhaustion did not vanish overnight, but for the first time she understood where it was coming from. And understanding, as any gardener knows, is always where tending begins. The third language, stored emotion. Zen Buddhism teaches what the mind cannot hold, what the body will carry. This is not poetry. This is the most precise description of human suffering I have ever encountered. Your body stores unprocessed emotion as muscle memory, as cellular tension, as the chronic ache that no scan has ever been able to fully explain. This is why a particular song playing in a grocery store can suddenly pull you back to a grief you thought you had finished feeling 30 years ago. Your body did not forget. It was simply waiting patiently, faithfully, for the moment you were finally ready to feel it. There is a Zen question that has stayed with me for years. Where does the fist go when you open your hand? The answer is that it does not go anywhere. It transforms. And that is precisely what stored emotion needs. Not to be eliminated, not to be analyzed into the ground, but to be acknowledged. To be felt, to be allowed at last to move. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Are you saying my bad knee is actually repressed emotion? Not necessarily. Sometimes a bad knee is simply a bad knee. But if you have had that knee examined 17 times with no lasting improvement, it might be worth asking a different question entirely. The fourth language, intuition. Zen calls this gut wisdom, the knowing that arrives before thinking does. The unease in your stomach before you make a decision that looks perfectly logical on paper. The warmth in your chest when you are exactly where you are supposed to be. The quiet alarm that sounds in your body when something is wrong, long before your mind has assembled enough evidence to agree. Your gut is not guessing. So it contains 500 million nerve cells and produces 95% of the serotonin in your entire body. What we call intuition is simply information, accurate, detailed, deeply personal information, being processed by your body's second brain faster than your conscious mind can follow. I once ignored that signal, a decision that looked right on every level, logical, practical, well-considered, but something in my body had been quietly saying no for weeks, and I had dismissed it as anxiety. I proceeded anyway. The consequences took 2 years to untangle. The second time a feeling like that arose, I stopped. I sat with it. I asked my body what it knew that my mind did not, and what came back, not in words, but in a clear, settled stillness, changed the direction I took entirely. I have never regretted listening. Your body has been giving you information, accurate, detailed, deeply personal information, every single day of your life. Most people will reach the end of their lives never having learned to read, never knowing what their body was trying to protect them from, never hearing what it was trying to guide them toward. But you know, you are learning the language now, and that changes everything. Today, when you notice any strong physical sensation, pause for 10 seconds before reacting. Ask not what is physically wrong, but what this sensation might be telling you emotionally, energetically, intuitively. The answer will surprise you. So now you understand the 4 languages your body speaks. But understanding a language and speaking it fluently are 2 entirely different things. And the next step, the one that actually begins the healing, is learning how to respond, how to talk back to your body in a way it recognizes as safe, as kind, as finally worth trusting. Because your body does not just need to be heard. It needs to believe, perhaps for the very first time, that you are truly on its side. That is exactly where we go next. 3. How to speak to your body so it finally trusts you. What if your body has stopped healing, not because it can't, but because it doesn't trust you yet? What if every pill you have taken, every treatment you have tried, has been speaking the right language to the wrong listener? And what if the one conversation that could change everything has been waiting, not in a doctor's office, but in the quiet between your heartbeats? The first way, speak with presence, not demand. Zen masters teach something so simple it almost sounds too easy to be true. Presence is the language that the body speaks best, not perfect words, not the right technique, not a protocol you follow from a wellness book, just your full, undivided, unhurried attention, placed on your body the way you would place it on someone you love more than anything in this world. Tonight, before you sleep, find the place in your body that is hurting the most or carrying the most, and place your hand there. Do not try to fix it. Do not visualize it healing. Do not ask it to be different from what it is. Simply be there. The warmth of your own hand, held with intention and without agenda, is the first word in a language your body has been waiting to hear. It is the language that says, "You are not alone in this. I am here. I am not going anywhere." The second way, apologize before you ask. In Buddhist teaching, the practice of metta, loving kindness, does not begin with a request. It begins with acknowledgement. And I believe that before you can ask your body to heal, you owe it something that most people never think to give: an apology. I remember the night I finally stood in front of a mirror and truly looked. Not quickly, the way we glance and look away, but slowly. At the lines that time had drawn, at the exhaustion that years of not listening had left behind, at a body that had carried me through losses I never fully grieved, through pressures I never admitted were too heavy, through decades of being told to push through and never once being asked how it was doing. And for the first time in my life, I spoke out loud about what I saw. I'm sorry, I didn't listen when you were whispering. I didn't stop when you were screaming. I pushed you past every limit you had, and I told myself that was strength. And you stayed anyway. Through all of it, you stayed. Thank you. Nothing dramatic happened, no miracle. Oh, but something in my chest, something that had been held rigid for longer than I could remember, quietly let go. Like a door that had been locked from the inside, it finally opened from the same place. The old sentence is, "Body, please stop hurting." The new sentence is, "Body, I'm sorry I didn't listen sooner. I'm here now. What do you need from me?" That shift from demand to apology, from expectation to presence, is where trust begins to rebuild. The third way, replace criticism with curiosity. The Zen tradition teaches a concept called Shoshin, beginner's mind. The instruction is to approach every experience as if encountering it for the first time, without the weight of assumption or judgment. And I want to invite you to bring that same beginner's mind to your own body. Instead of, "Why won't this pain go away?" try, "That's interesting. This pain always seems worse after certain conversations. What might it be protecting me from?" Dr. Christine Neff, whose research on self-compassion has changed the way psychologists understand healing, found something remarkable. People who replace self-criticism with genuine self-curiosity not only report greater happiness, they heal faster, they maintain better habits, they experience measurably less chronic pain. Curiosity is not weakness. It is not naivety. It is the language of compassion. And compassion, it turns out, is one of the most powerful healing forces the human body has ever responded to. The fourth way, end every day with a conversation. In Zen monasteries, the day does not end with the news. Only it does not end with a phone in hand or a mind still running through tomorrow's list. It ends with a reflection, with gratitude, with a quiet moment of acknowledgement for everything the body carried through that day without complaint. A gardener does not walk away from the garden at the end of the day without checking in. How are you doing? What do you need for tomorrow? What worked today? What didn't? That daily conversation, that simple, unhurried, consistent attention is what makes a garden not just survive, but truly thrive. Your body is waiting for the same thing, not perfection, not an expert, just a question asked with genuine care every single day. How are you? I am listening. A woman named Ruth, 71, told me something 6 months after she began this practice. She said, "I don't know how to explain it medically, but I sleep differently now. Like my body finally trusts that I'll show up for it tomorrow." She was not cured of everything. She still had her aches, her mornings that were harder than others. But the war had ended, and in the silence where the war used to be, something that felt very much like peace had quietly moved in. You are not a patient managing a body. You are a person in a relationship with one. And like every relationship that has ever mattered, it changes when you start showing up differently, when you start listening instead of demanding, when you start asking instead of assuming, when you stop treating your body like something that has failed you, and begin treating it like someone loyal to you, wholly and completely, through absolutely everything. When most people will spend their final years in a silent war with the very body that carried them through every hard morning, every loss, every moment they were not sure they could keep going, never apologizing, never asking, never knowing what it might have said if only they had been still enough to hear it. Don't let that be your story. You still have time. You still have breath. You still have this moment, right now, which is the only moment that has ever mattered. Tonight, before you sleep, place your hand on your heart, feel it beating, and say out loud or in the softest silence, just these words: "I hear you, I'm here. Tell me what you need." Then breathe, and listen, not for words, but for whatever comes. A softening, a warmth, a quiet exhale that feels like something that has been waiting a very long time to finally be said. We have come so far together today. From the war, most of us have been silently fighting with our own bodies. To the 4 languages the body speaks every single day. To the 4 ways of responding that build trust instead of breaking it further. There is only one thing left now, to bring everything together and to leave you with the one thing your body has been waiting to hear from you, perhaps for your entire life. Let's finish this together. Imagine a garden, not a perfect garden, not a manicured Instagram-worthy garden that belongs in a magazine, but a real one, with weathered soil and stubborn roots that refuse to give up, with flowers that bloomed in unexpected places, in the cracks, in the corners, in the spots you had already written off, with scars from hard winters that you were not sure you would survive, and with new growth pushing through exactly where you least expected it. Quiet, determined, and impossibly alive. That garden is your body, and you, after everything, you are finally learning to be its gardener. Your body was never the enemy. It was never broken. It was never failing you. It was speaking in sensation, in energy, in stored emotion, in the quiet wisdom of intuition, in every language it knew, with everything it had. It was sending message after message, year after year, asking only one thing. Please, listen. And now, perhaps for the first time, you are. One conversation at a time, one hand placed gently over the heart at a time, one "I'm sorry, I hear you, I'm here" at a time. After everything I have studied and every person I have sat with in silence, I believe this with everything in me. Your body does not ask for perfection. It does not need you to have all the answers. It does not need you to be younger or stronger or different from you are right now. It only needs one thing: for you to show up, to pay attention, to speak to it with the same tenderness, the same patience, the same unconditional kindness that you would offer without hesitation to someone you love completely. Because here's the truth that has never once stopped being true. Your body has loved you faithfully, completely, without condition, without complaint, for every single day of your life, through every hard year, through every loss, through every morning you were not sure you could face. It never left. It never gave up. It never stopped fighting for you. Even when you forgot it was there, it is time to love it back. If something in this video touched something real in you today, if something stirred or softened or quietly cracked open, please like this video and subscribe so we can keep this conversation going together. Share it with someone who needs to hear that their body is not broken, that it has never been broken, that it has simply been waiting with extraordinary patience and loyalty to finally be heard. And leave me one comment before you go. Just answer this one question. What will you say to your body tonight? Because your words matter more than you know. Your body is listening. It always has been. Now, finally, so are you.